You Lesson 6, Dreaming Your Future. Eckankar teaches that a person should dream significance and use into their life. This is no metaphor. This is taking dreams as the future and trying to make them true in that sense. Well, mythology is meaning and use rich. So, yeah. Nowadays, fortune tellers make even more money than they used to. Fortune telling and soothsaying is almost has as many believers in the United States and many countries as there are Christians. Our gains and losses should be considered spiritually. Happiness should reside, is moving away, should rely on moving away from fear of loss. Okay, my sentence was wrong. I messed up there. But can dreams really show our future? Is the command to keep secret about prophecies due to inaccuracy or because it'll stint the growth of others? I don't know if anyone alive can reliably tell the future, much less one of my friends. One of the three factors of prophethood that remains is the prophetic dream. But I don't think that anyone actually gets such information without being able to handle what actions come from it. One does share in the merit or demerit in the actions that you influence. The past and the future does not change. Our knowledge and choices that we can do something about are in the present. How is it a burden to think you know what others will experience? Ourselves are our primary concern, but our desires that we couldn't stand being known should probably not be nurtured. Dreams do reflect our current states. Being more firm on a spiritual path can result in dreams that are not as contradictory. Is it God or ourselves that communicates to us through the veil of dreams? Symbology in Eckankar is connected to the Ek media, and Eckist's niece read Eckankar, The Key to Secret Worlds by Paul Twitchell, after receiving it from her aunt. Later on, the aunt had a dream about being in the niece's kitchen and finding a blue iris among other flowers. Did rearranging the flowers to have the blue iris more visible mean that she was making the true clear, or that she was manipulating her niece into accepting Eckankar dogma? As our actions improve, our inner experience improves. Then our perceptions may include new awareness of others. Is there a law of silence that forces us to be quiet about our concerns for others? There are a few circumstances where we should expose secrets of others, but I would hardly think dealing with people personally shows a lack of spiritual development. If indiscretions happen at any initiation level, how can initiation show a person's real spiritual status? Are these choices about choosing power over love? Here again, we look at the Ekvidya, or the Eckankar science of prophecy. Should we ever credit the human way, Joe or Mahata, with the occurrences in our life that they played no physical role in? All of life is to be in Ek or taken spiritually, but there must be more going on than the teaching of any one spiritual leader. Is an imagining of a friend's teacher as Mahdis. This is the fifth initiation in Eckankar, and it is for people who were part of the program for 17 or more years after their 18th birthday. Relating suicidal thoughts as a teenager, the golden-tongued wisdom coming through directly in life. It seems like the thoughts played no role because she still insulted the young woman by thinking of her as a child whose life relied on herself. Another young woman was thought of during contemplation of work, as long as one does something knowing that it is right with God and dedicated to God. Any work is of ek, or religious. This young woman was likewise insulted by referring to her as a child, even though she was to take over while she was at an Eckankar seminar. She had an inner experience where she gave the young woman an Ek-R, published by Eckankar book, and then later made this into a self-fulfilled prophecy. The third set of events that she considered prophetic was a jumbled dream of several people's spiritual goals. She consumed an alcoholic beverage in the dream. Eckankar members are taught to think actions done by or to them in dreams and visions count like regular life. So she felt guilty for violating the commandments of Sugmad, or God as a noun. One of the commandments of the people, the fourth of the fifth initiate is that they never use such things recreationally or ritually. One of the pilgrims to Minneapolis, Minnesota, related that they felt guilty for having their first alcoholic beverages in a year. 6 months after giving up drinking, she lost the physical alcoholism that may linger up to 6 months after the last drink. Now, alcohol is one of those ones in particular you have to be careful to actually have medical guidance when you quit it. Certain psychiatric and other medications, likewise. Now, the street versions, definitely. But again, the nutrients and herbs, or if you want to have medication prescribed to help you with that stuff, it's available. Tobacco, too, could cause withdrawals, but tends to. But her mind became repulsed by alcohol after that. Part of the reason of abandoning alcoholic products was in that she didn't remember dreams and was not as conscious in general. This reminded the Ekist, where her state of consciousness used to be because of intoxicants. This reminded the Ekist, where her state of consciousness used to be because of intoxicants. Shaping Your Future would have probably been a better title for the discourse, because it is about redirecting your life around experiences deemed to be spiritual. Do we see the future at all if we have to orchestrate the disciplined change in accord with divine messages, which are deemed to which are attributed to Ek, or God as a verb working with us? How can an Ekist not be subject to predestination? Now, in all these words that include the word Ek, it's ECK. So, yeah. Eckankar places the blame on everyone who doesn't operate outside the realms of cause, effect, and action as not doing what they can. I see no real indication that membership in Eckankar automatically makes this Kantian fantasy as reality. Eckankar isn't the only path that teaches people to use dreams to control the outcome of life. Discrimination between realistic conceptions of the future and assumed prophecy should probably be considered more of an intellectual skill rather than a spiritual one. On page 113 of Eckankar 2 Discourses by Harold Klemp, it encourages people to judge themselves and others, both with and without membership in the Eckankar corporate kinesis. How is Eckankar a path of experience when it denigrates this life as not being worthy of having our goals centered on having a material impact? Most can understand that being recognized by many as an illustrious spiritual giant can be a fitting, desired result of one's spiritual life, or it is not even appropriate for a Mahanta or so-called eminence to want increased. Eckankar uses the age-old LVX, light formula, but with only the VX. Love and life are the standards to operate upon. The orthodoxy and orthopraxy the prophet of God, led, and sects based on prophets, other than those who were merely to confirm the truth for themselves, sectarian, and of the devils, the other types of prophet, refer to the L, are light of truth in a degree that is too dogmatic for members of Eckankar. I would venture that the completeness of the LVX, Lux, and even the Nox, NOx formula would be enough of the standard to keep us from a false quest and on to God realization, whatever that means for you. I would agree that God realization is not some gem of consciousness that is a final achievement to manipulate others with. Now, before we switch to the next program, one of the things, one of the most famous Luciferian monuments, since we're getting into very Luciferian things here with the Lux and the Nox formula, light and darkness, is the Statue of Liberty. Of course, that one's known, more well known, but the Georgian Guidestones, they kind of refute some stuff. You may want to see what's listed on that playlist that I have. But basically, guidance post-apocalyptic age. So, yeah. Huge